Hello, Buffalonian podcast listeners. Just a quick little PSA before you dive into this week's episode. The Joey Bosa news broke as we ended the recording for this week's edition, so we did not get into it. I did want to address it, though. Did not want it to go unspoken about, so we just talked a lot about the possible free agency moves. I mean, you'll get into it this week, but didn't want to just shove it at the end because I think it deserves its own conversation. So you'll hear more in depth about the Joey Bosa signing next week on the next edition of the Buffalonian podcast. But just wanted to jump in here and say that we did not forget about it. We did not miss it. I just figured it might need its own time based on how this week's episode went. So we hope you enjoy. And without further ado, let's get into this week's edition of the Buffalonian podcast. We are back with the Buffalonian podcast. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, first go in the new digs, the new studio. We're sitting up here. If you're watching on video, you'll see it a little bit, but work in progress still. I mean, lots of Bills news, Sabres news even. Finally, Kevin Adams got a little active before the trade deadline. So a little more to talk about for the Sabres than what we initially thought would be happening, but where are you at right now, vibe-wise, I should say, between the two teams? Are you feeling like enough was done? Brandon Beane continuing to just make moves, can expect some more. And Kevin Adams, trades are done in the NHL. I mean, better spot than we thought originally, right?
Well, I mean, for the Bills, I don't know, people can't see it, but it's right around 7 o'clock, so it's starting to get a little dark, so we might get some Beane after dark.
Oh, yeah, because that's when that happens. So
that magic, but I think the vibes for the Bills are currently just completely immaculate.
Yeah.
I mean, they did lose one of their all-time vibes guy in Matt Collins to the Patriots, which kind of sucks. But
unfortunately, they did, yeah.
I feel fine there. Bandits took a tough loss over the weekend.
Yeah, that was not good. That was not fun.
Play again against the same team this time in their building. So Nick Rose did get revenge on us, unfortunately. But, yeah, Sabres, it's mixed, I feel like. Yeah, they did more, and I like some of their moves. The Cousins trade, we're just never going to know until a couple years down the road how that's really going to turn out. Or
yeah.
I guess a year down the road. I mean, you saw the Bowen Byram for Casey Middlestat trade. Bowen Byram still on the Sabres, and Colorado just had to trade him and add stuff to get a player at the deadline from Boston. So,
right.
I guess we'll know probably next year how it really works out. And then obviously the whole Rasmus Dahlin rumors this morning. So, I don't know. I think mixed is the best way. I'm
not fully disappointed.
They finally got a win against Edmonton last night.
Yeah.
So, yay. They snapped, a 6-game losing streak. So
yeah, it's about time.
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I think those are pretty fair.
I think it's fair. Definitely more than I thought, which is good because I thought there was going to be no move going into the trade deadline. I thought they were just going to be stagnant. Kevin Adams waiting for that quote-unquote hockey trade, but I guess he did end up making one, if that's what you want to call it.
I would say he did.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't trade him for futures.
No.
So,
yeah.
There's that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. But Norris is a fine player. I'm excited to see him develop more in the system, I guess, if whatever system they're working with, Lindy's system. I think it's just intriguing. A lot of people, I know we're gonna go into the Bills more in depth, but just the final thing before we
let's just talk. We'll roll Sabres because they're kind of
released in season. I feel like it was the first news, right? Yeah. They're actually in season, but we'll go to Bills after. But the Sabres right now with Norris, a lot of people initially were like, "Oh, you just got another Dylan Cousins," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I think a change needed to be made in some facet, right?" Mm-hmm. Whether that be just a fresh face in the locker room, whether that be, I mean, it's still weird to see Cousins in a Senators uniform. Like, I was not ready for that. Like, seeing that the same day on Twitter, right? Like, it kind of hit. But I don't know. It's just, I think it's going to I think it's fine. I think you needed a change of pace because since he got his bell rung and he was in the bubble, that guy's not been the same, Dylan Cousins. So I know Norris has the shoulder injury, and my one word of advice to the Sabres, the 3-time shoulder injury for Norris, one word of advice is let him choose what kind of surgery he wants. You've already been down that road before.
He's good now.
No, I know that. I'm saying if it happens again, knock on wood.
No.
Don't restrict what kind of
Eichel.
surgery he could have because that drives players away from your franchise if you can't tell. But yeah, I think Norris will be fine, and I'm glad Adams made a hockey trade, but they still just don't have a superstar in any facet. I wasn't expecting them to get one, but that still is if he's the general manager at the end of this season, which I still think he will be.
Oh, he will be.
He's managing the team like he has a job, as we've said. That superstar is the next move, in my opinion.
Sure,
it has to be. If you're really serious, it has to be.
I think, first of all, I guess if you take away the Cousins and Norris, Dennis Gilbert, whatever. I mean, people like him because he gets into fights. He's from St. Joe's.
Yeah,
local guy, but kind of whatever. A 26-2, who cares? I'm sorry, miss me with that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really care about next year's second-round pick. And then they got Jacob Bernard Docker, who is kind of a bottom pair right shot D-man, only 24, so maybe they think he could be a guy that could be in their lineup. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be an RFA at the end of the year, so probably not going to compare too much because he only has about 5 points in 20-ish games, so it's not like he's scores a lot of points. So I think that'll be interesting. I guess that aspect of the trade is if he could become kind of at least a bottom pair guy in the lineup. Because I think a big thing that we've been talking about is Bowen Byram, kind of a guy that we're going to think is going to be moved. So you're going to have Dahlin, Power, Samuelson 2. Obviously, they traded Jokiharju for a 4. So, I mean, there's a lot of changes. So it's kind of nice that they're going to get a 20-game sample of Bernard Docker whenever he gets his visa in. Because that happens when you get traded from a Canadian team to an American team. Yeah. And you're Canadian. They obviously didn't have that problem with Josh Norris because he actually is American. So
yeah, he's got the citizenship here.
Yeah, he was able to play right away. Had the game-winning assist last night.
Yeah,
but I think Norris makes a little bit more money than Cousins. I think it's about $1 million different, $800,000 difference. I think injuries are a big concern. Obviously, you said with the shoulder, missed a lot of time. So I think it's a bet. I think both teams are making bets, right? Yeah. Ottawa is making a bet that they can get the old Dylan Cousins back.
Well, look at Dylan Cousins in a Team Canada uniform.
Sure.
That's what they're hoping for.
And then
because now he's playing in the territory. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. Then Buffalo's obviously betting on Norris kind of finding himself back. Yeah. And staying healthy. Two different players, I think. Norris really more of a sniper. Cousins kind of a. I don't know. He just turned the puck over so much. More of a transition forward, but
right.
I think an interesting. I feel like an interesting way to look at this is I think the Sabres are kind of betting that Norris will have more value than Cousins at the end of the season, and maybe that helps them potentially flip Norris for that superstar.
Right.
We talked about Cousins for Pettersson, Cousins plus for Pettersson. Maybe they think that, hey, if we go to Josh Norris, maybe he could be a guy that at the end of the year, if he goes hot, has a good shooting. Because he's a sniper, he's good on the power play, so they think he can help the power play, and also he's a good penalty killer as well. So special teams have really done the Sabres in. So I don't know, maybe it is a long-term fit, but maybe they plan on flipping him.
I mean, you hope it is. But he's got a good vibe around him. A lot of Ottawa fans in response to the trade. You guys got a good one, right? And a lot of times the good ones go to die with the Buffalo Sabres, but you're hoping for another outcome here. Just seems like a solid presence as well. And, it sucks to see Dylan Cousins go because 2 years ago, if you mentioned to anybody trading Dylan Cousins, they're going to punch you in the face. Why would you get rid of a franchise player like that? But we're sitting here now where he just hasn't produced whatsoever. It was time. It had to happen. And yes, while tough, definitely, tough pill to swallow for locker room reasons. I think you're better off for it. And like you said, the long-term win of Norris, I hope comes to fruition because that would mean good things for the team. So,
and again, I also respect Kevin Adams for making this move because listen, they didn't trade him outside of the division. They traded him inside the division. They traded him to the division rival, right? Ottawa. They could have maybe traded him somewhere else. He got the quote-unquote hockey trade. Again, I think the best way to describe this trade is fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think
nothing spectacular, just all right.
I would have been disappointed if they moved him for futures, right? They got a similar caliber player, pretty much a very similar caliber player in Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the stuff, whatever, we'll see how the rest of the stuff. It's really mostly a 1-for-1 and then a couple add-ons.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued to see what happens. Again, Norris kind of getting his feet under him with the Sabres. I know Cousins scored the game-winning goal last night for Ottawa on the power play, but he's been really brutal on 5-on-5 the first 2 games. So again, I'm not going to take that much stock into it, but
yeah,
I think Cousins has like 2 points on the power play, right? So
yeah.
I think that's kind of is fitting a narrative right now. But I am excited because again, I think next season Kevin Adams is going to be the GM.
Yes.
Sorry, like
that's a tough pill to swallow for some. But
the way it's not even worth getting mad about.
No.
He is, but I think hopefully that this is a situation where he's on the ice now, and now he knows he has to make a move.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that it adds some action this summer. But again, adding a guy that could score goals, good on the PP, good penalty killer, because I think what we're going to see is a lot of changes to the coaching staff
around
Lindy Ruff.
Yeah.
And hopefully that ignites your special teams to be, again, just average.
That's all anyone's asking for.
Yeah,
average special teams play. So,
but again, I do think there's an opportunity for them to potentially flip. So, I mean, that was the big news with the Sabres, right? I mean, the Yoki Haru trade. They made another small trade with the Rangers, trading Kubal for Branstrom, but that was mostly a Rochester trade.
Yeah.
They did. I think we touched that they signed Jordan Greenway to a 2-year, 4-year contract extension.
Yes.
Then obviously they also signed Jason Zucker to a 2-year, $4.75 million contract extension, which
keeping your guys around.
It's weird. It's kind of like very typical Sabres, where it's a massive selling market. It seemed like really outrageous prices, and they kept their 2 UFA forwards. But I guess if you're gonna have 2 guys, that come back, like Greenway, again, when he's healthy, it's a big if, but really solid bomb 6 forward, $4 million. Listen, they have cap space to spend. Like, I'm not gonna. Did they overpay? Probably a little bit. And then Zucker, I actually think that was a nice deal because he's on for $5 million right now. So to get him under that and get 2 years of term, I think that was a good move as well. So they're fine.
Yeah.
Right. It's the same with Cousins age. They're fine. So I do think, though, however, I don't think any of those moves should stop the Sabres from adding to their forward group.
No.
Taking a swing at the forward group. Because I still think they need that.
Mm-hmm.
But
this offseason will be the test. Not like any others have been for Kevin Adams.
Sure.
Like this will be a test.
I think this is
it's make or break.
I think this is you're going to probably move Bowen Byram for a forward.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to bring in a partner for Bowen Power.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like the 2 things that I feel like are, I don't know if I'm running out insiders, but like.
I feel like that has to happen. We'll post a picture of the city after the podcast today, and then we'll lay that out there. Yeah, like Kevin Weeks would say absolutely nothing, like he did. But I don't know. It's just, I'll believe it when I see it. Like that's where I'm at this point.
I'm
happy. What I'm saying?
I'm happy they didn't. I'm happy they didn't sell Tuck.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, but it's a situation where I don't care for the results anymore this season, but I want to see individual play. Like I want to see Josh Norris play well.
Yeah,
I want to see Bowen Byram play well so we could trade him. Like I want to see UPL, who's had a pretty rough season, end strong. I want to see Benson, who's played really well, just can't score to save his life. Like again, I want to see some individual development. I don't really care if they win or lose anymore.
Yeah,
which sucks because like you want to care, but it's like,
but also it's too little, too late at any rate. Like there's no hopes at all. There shouldn't be.
I'm not saying they should tank, but like I winning. It's like they won. It's like but then like their draft pick is worse. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like why are we now year 14 into this crap? But
year 14. There's rumors that spread sometimes.
Oh, God.
And today was one of those days. So I'm gonna turn the volume up really quick. we had some drama in the building incited by Paul Bissonnette. And he's on the Spit and Chicklets podcast, if you don't know. And this clip right here that you're about to hear is from their episode today. So here's the clip, and then we'll go into it a little bit.
Matter and who moved the needle as far as the insiders. But apparently Dahlin met with Kevin Adams. And he said that if this doesn't turn around fast, I'm gonzo's. Okay,
so immediately you get Jack Eichel vibes from that, right? Just like, you're like, okay, he's been here long enough. He's been here throughout the entire drought, and still just wallowing at the bottom. This is the worst they've looked in the past few years, right? They're at the bottom of the standings. Why wouldn't he want out, in all seriousness? So then we get, media day, I guess, and after practice, Matt Beauvais, Paul Hamilton, all those guys go to the locker room, and they inquire with Rasmus himself, did this happen? And here's that clip. Here's his response.
A clip circulating on social media from the Spit and Chicklets podcast that said, if you guys don't figure this out soon, you want to be moved. Is that accurate?
Who?
Paul Bissonnette.
Who wants to be moved?
You.
I want to be moved?
You you told Adams.
That I want to be gone from Buffalo? No,
change.
I don't know what he's talking about. I've never said I want out of here. I'm not happy where we're at. I don't want to lose. We have to get better. But I've never said I want out of here.
He goes on to further explain. It's the full media snafu, if you will, but
only in Buffalo.
Only with the Buffalo Sabres, and I guess the Bills with the whole Diggs situation that entire last season. But rumors swirling that Dahlin wants out, and all the defensemen that pair with him are just Dahlin merchants, right? So you're like, okay, if we lose Dahlin, we're actually screwed on defense because
arguably the best defenseman in franchise history.
Exactly. So, and arguably you're on the winning side of that argument if you think that, in my opinion. But these rumors are going to swirl, I think, all offseason with these guys and where the Sabres are at. I'm sorry, being in last place invites this kind of stuff. Like, that's just what it is.
Well, I also
Bissonnette, like, come on, like, did he have a source? Did this happen? Like, we still.
I think I would believe that there was a meeting. Right. I don't know if I believe that I'm calling out if stuff doesn't improve.
Well, especially
I think it was more if he put pressure that, hey, like,
we got to turn the ship.
We got to turn this around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got to start playing better. I know this year's kind of whatever, but next year we need to. And I respect that. I think. Listen,
as the captain, I think that should be happening.
You need to be putting, again, I think Dahlin, I'm all for Dahlin putting pressure on Kevin Adams.
Yeah.
Because it will make him move. Because I think, realistically, if we're being honest, they have one more season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, Kevin Adams has one more year, then he's fired. Well, I haven't said that last year.
We said that last season,
but he
should. The season before.
But he should be. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, if they don't turn it around and have a winning season next year, I'm not going to fault Tuxel UFA, Dahlin, and Tage for saying hey, we want out. I'm sorry, Tage Thompson's a good enough center to be playing playoff hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Rasmus Dahlin is a Norris caliber defenseman that, quite frankly, may never win the Norris because his team sucks.
Yeah.
I think they would both. I would have no, being a Sabres fan, I wouldn't hold any grudges against them for wanting out at that point. The Eichel stuff is always weird because I think a lot of people forget that Eichel asked out the year before he got injured with the neck.
Yeah, he wanted out.
The neck stuff happened. So, again, that was weird, and because he signed an extension. I don't know, Dahlin did recently sign a big extension too, but he's been here for, 6 years now? At some point, how could you not build a winner around him?
Yeah.
I mean, you have enough pieces, cornerstone pieces, to at least be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm all for it. Do I think he said, I'm going to want out? No. But I think he implied that he will pressure. He wants to apply pressure to Adams to, hey, no more waiting around for Isaac Rosine or Noah Osland or Consta Hellenius. No more of that. We need to push the needle on this offseason. We need to make big moves. We need to go for it this next season.
Yeah. And again, as the captain, that's 100% his right, and he's doing that. I think that it got, especially, I mean, let's think. The verbiage there was "I'm gonzos," right? I don't think Rasmus. I know it might be a paraphrase, whatever, but gonzos is not in his vocabulary. He just got English down pretty good, so I don't think he's jumping to gonzos already. But no, I think it's something out of nothing, and you're right though. What's the excuse for not having built something around him? There is none. So I'd be fed up too if it's year 6 and your entire franchise, you're going into year 14 of a playoff drought. You are in year 14 at this point. You're not making the playoffs. I'd be fed up with this too. Tuck, right? Even him, coming from the Golden Knights, right? I know that's a different scenario. Thompson, like 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, the picture next to you, he's screaming. Like that's you don't get that. You don't get that anymore. And it's just like, you have the flashes. You know these guys are capable, what they're capable of, because you saw it years ago. They have not played up to par since that season. They were so hungry about we were 1 point out. We were 1 point out. That's where Adam should have started making moves, and he didn't. And that's the team psyche just died there, I think. Would you agree? Just like the way it was handled, though. We were 1 point out. We're angry.
I think a lot of people... I think he's being too much on internal development, and as we know in following sports, like development is not linear. So,
Well, look at Daniel Jones and Josh Allen.
No, sure, and
Similar prospects.
Look what happened to Dylan Cousins. Like he just declined. So,
Mm-hmm.
listen, they play the Wings tomorrow, Saturday. They host Jack Eichel on the Knights, and then Monday they play the Bruins, which is Yoki Haru and now Casey Milstead. So,
Oh, that's right.
Funny little team there.
Yes.
So, I mean, I want them to play good hockey at the end of the year. And hopefully I want to see the Josh Norris goal sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. You know what you also did see? Just final point before we move on to the Bills. Adams did, in that conference, take responsibility.
I thought that was a
little
good
bit.
conference. I'm not trying to be the complete optimist here.
No, but he acknowledged he should have done something during the 13-game slide, that he didn't do anything during the 13-game. Like, he took accountability.
No, those are words, so sure.
But like, he acknowledged his actions were not the best. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
So that's progress, I would say, where instead of just doing nothing during a 13-game slide, like, if that happens again, sure as hell hope he does something. But I think that was a positive presser.
My thing is this, too, as well. Like, see where your pick falls, but I think this is a situation where if it's not, like, a top 3 pick, if it's, like, pick 5, like, be willing to ship that, man. Like, I don't know, man. It's like, why would you? Why? You're gonna wait another couple years for? You're not gonna be around in a couple years, my guy.
No.
To be honest.
And I think he sent a message with getting rid of Cousins a little bit, and he's got to hold up to this standard too. The whole, we don't care if you're extended. Like, we'll eat it. We're gonna move on from you if you're not producing. And
my frustration too is also like, I think he hasn't made terrible roster moves from the perspective of, like, again, the Ryan McLeod trade has been a fantastic win for the Sabres. Like, say what you want about Matt Savoy, but like, he played 2 games in the NHL this year. Now he's back in the AHL. Like, he wasn't going to help you this year. And Ryan McLeod, they've moved Tage to wing, right, and they have Norris being the first line center at the moment, and Ryan McLeod's playing second line center and doing a good job. Like, he did a really good job against McDavid last night. So like, having that guy that could be a middle 6 center, like, again, that was worth trading away Matt Savoy. So
absolutely,
I'd like to see him be that kind of aggressive. You know, hey, let's move on from Byram. Let's get a top 6 forward, and then let's find a way to maybe move a prospect in that pick for a legit top 4 right shot D-man to pair with power. Because I think if you get that, it's like, all right, like, we have Dahlin on one pair, we have Power with a stable partner on the other.
Right.
Your third pair could play like 8-10 minutes. Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could just be like, all right, third pair, Clifton and whoever, like, we don't need you to be out here for long. Like, we need 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's what winning teams do, and that's why the Sabres
are a losing team.
But speaking of winning teams.
The Bills. Yes. Golf clap for the fellas and Brandon
Josh
Bean.
Allen, man. What a guy. 6 years, $330 million, $250 million guaranteed money. Interestingly enough, that was right. It's funny. we talked about whether they were going to do with this offseason the extension or will they wait one more year because I think they could have got more savings.
Yeah, and we were talking the Mahomes point too of waiting for him again or doing it before.
Well, I'll say this: I have a lot of respect for the Bills and Josh Allen do their business because I think this is very similar to his first contract extension, where right after the third year. First time he really broke out, we're like, are they going to wait another year to see if this is like legit? Because it was COVID. It's like fans coming back, like
right.
You know what I'm saying? But they gave him the 6-year, $200. That was $258 million because of $43 million a year, and now they just ripped up the 4 years left on that contract and made a whole new 6-year deal.
Yeah, but you invest in your number one product, like that's essentially what it is, right? Like, and you save a little bit of cap space next season because of it.
$11 million and. Like, how often does someone get $250 million guaranteed, and people are like, like he honestly, he could have got more.
He could have gotten more.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like, I just think that's crazy. The reception of that deal got. It was like, do
you know who Craig Carton is?
Don't even know.
Did you see that clip? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I saw the clip, and
outrageous.
We're just not gonna talk about that clip because that was stupid. Because that dude doesn't know jack.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, they don't even get any cap, dude. If you
I've done
anything,
the numbers. They don't get any cap. Those are his words.
If you followed anything, everyone knows that they would have extended him to $100 million a year. They would have got $11 million in cap savings this year. But besides the point, I do A plus. This is a guy that there's a reason why people come to Buffalo. I mean, he's one of the faces of the NFL, which is a multi-billion-dollar
and
organization.
He's also added hardware to his belt now. With the MVP.
Hardware, this is a guy that now going to be here another 6 years, age 34 season. Hopefully, maybe we get another extension too. I mean, this is I don't know. It's cool. It's weird though that it's weird because they sent out like the letterhead.
Oh yeah,
the newsletter of like, Josh Allen or whatever. And it was like 8th season. I'm like, dang, I feel old.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
You think about it. We were sophomores in high school when he got drafted.
Well, I remember those debates, man.
Yeah.
Don't draft him. He can't throw a ball straight for 20 yards.
Look at his completion percentage. Like, ugh.
Wrong Josh. I'm not saying I didn't want Josh Rosen over Josh Allen, but...
Yeah. Look at where we're at now. And, it's also almost a decade in the future, which is just crazy to think about.
It's a blessing. Again, the amount of money that the Bills are going to get in revenue, like, Terry Pagula has to be incredibly excited.
Yeah,
because that helps them pad it. Like, listen, you have Josh Allen, you have a really good chance of winning division, you have a chance to host home playoff games. Like, merchandise, like, you get a piece of that. Like,
keeps his failed passion project and the Sabres funded.
Yeah,
so you got
it's true. I mean, like, that's how. I mean, he's penny. He's worth so much that you really can't put it in a dollar amount. I can't think of a better word than. I was gonna say worthless, but that's
no. I know what you're talking about. He's oh my god, why am I blanking on it too?
Worthwhile.
It's not worthless. No, it's not.
It's
worthless.
not worthless. Worthless stops.
It'll pop in my head in 2 seconds.
But whatever.
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, Josh, again, winning the MVP, I think was a massive moment in his career. This is a guy that is going to hold all of the statistical records for the Buffalo Bills. Like he's going to break Thurman's. I mean,
priceless.
Thank you. I mean, the amount of rushing touchdowns he has, he's going to break Cam Newton's record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback all time. Like this is a guy going to break all of Jim Kelly's passing records.
Yeah. And he's got a lot of time left in his prime.
And hopefully we win a Super Bowl. But
that'd be nice because that's the record to break in the franchise.
I did have a question because I thought this would be interesting.
What's up?
Because we saw Greg Rousseau get 4 years, $80 million, which I think good. I mean, I think people thought he could have got 25, so getting him for 20.
Yeah. No, I'd take that.
Solid. Again, people are going to look at sack numbers. Listen, this is a guy, one of the best run defenders in the league, has gotten better as a pass rusher, still only 25, bought really his prime years, still gets you 8 sacks, protected pass rusher. Again, Terrell Bernard, 4-year, $50 million contract extension as well.
Yep.
Again, not much to ask, not much to say other than solid. Like, again, good for Bean. But I was intrigued. Who do you think is the next Buffalo Bill? Not Josh Allen, because I think that's unfair because he could sign another one.
Yeah.
To sign a $100 million a year contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, Is it? 'Cause I think people could have said Rousseau, because you could have said if Rousseau doesn't sign an extension this year and balls out.
Oh yeah.
Still signs at Buffalo. That's $100 million.
Yep.
People could have said Myles Garrett.
And he's selling out to stay in Cleveland.
Selling out to stay in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's kind of interesting now. Like who is the next guy to break the Mario Williams threshold? Because I remember he was the first guy.
Yeah.
Obviously they signed Von to one, but that wasn't really $100 million. That was fake.
Yeah.
It was a fake contract. And then
Yep. And
I don't think there's anyone else other than Josh, right? I'm not blinking anyone.
No, I don't.
I guess no. Diggs I think was 96.
Diggs was, yeah, he barely missed it.
So
Mhm.
I'll make a. I think it could still be Benford because we saw J.C. Horn just get a $25 million contract for $100 million over 4 years. So maybe Benford, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't mind the thought of Benford. I really
That's
don't.
a lot of money though.
It
I don't
is
know.
for
a guy that can't really stay healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So they're looking at this current roster. I don't really know. Like Rousseau definitely would have been the one. Epenesa is not getting near that. Ed Oliver's not getting near that. Like there's no.
Well, that's my point.
There's no splash stars on the defense anymore to say that. You know.
I think
Like if Myles Garrett did come in, like you said, yes. Like there's no question about that. But
well, I think it's also like
say they
I
bring
guess this
in.
is honestly the problem with the Bills, to be honest, is that do they really have higher end stars?
No.
Especially when it comes, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
when it comes playoff time, you really need to hire end stars, and they kind of just have a bunch of B+, A-. But
Yeah.
like Dion is already in his 30s now. I don't see him getting a $100 million contract. I think you could have made a case if Spencer Brown didn't sign an extension.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have got $100 million.
Yeah,
like
he's-
5 years, $100
He
million.
really
yeah.
has blossomed into a crazy right tackle.
So
like,
I think he's kind of a good bet. I
Mm-hmm.
think he would be a good bet. I know he signed a 4-year extension. He's under for 4 years, but will it be 4 years until the Bills sign another guy? I don't know, but I think Brown, if he continues this track, I'll look up how old he is because in 4
they
years
might make a splash this season though. Still,
See,
you know,
I
but
think
Sweat's also off the market. Like I don't know. Like it's just
I think he's 27, so he's gonna be 31. I mean, tackles kind of age kind of well.
Mhm.
I'll make a prediction right now though that I think they will sign someone to a $100 million contract before potentially Spencer Brown, because I think next year, going into the new stadium, they're gonna have a shiny new toy. I don't know who it is,
okay.
or who it will be, but
I would agree. Like I'm gonna piggyback on that with you. I just don't have a name I can say right now.
because we just don't know who's gonna be available. I
Yeah.
mean, Michael Parsons, but
Maybe I wouldn't hate that, and I don't know. It's just with the way the cards fell, everything you could think of that the Bills could do is now out the window. Max Crosby's going to stay in Vegas because Pete
I
Carroll's
guess
actually
Hendrickson potentially.
Hendrickson maybe.
He's still out there.
Garrett, I guess, even though he requested a trade, he got that extra little bump in pay for that extension. He's like, I'm going to stick around. And then I said Crosby's going to stay. Who else? Sweat got signed.
Went to Arizona.
Yeah.
Jonathan Allen went to Minnesota. Yeah, so I think
Like you lost a lot of the names that were swirling around for landing spots on the Bills.
I don't know. That's kind of what free agency is that I think a lot of people get overpaid, and the Bills are usually pretty smart at avoiding that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting, right? They got Michael Hoyt, who is kind of again like a Swiss Army knife of the front seven. Could play a little linebacker, play a little DD, play a little edge.
Yeah.
Could maybe with their new defense, potentially with the coaching staff they brought in, like.
He likes to get to the quarterback.
But he might be like a creeper guy where it's like he's coming, but he drops out, and he can still kind of cover well, and still, again, good against the run as well. So he's an interesting guy, Canadian.
He is. He said, did you see his tweet yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
Bills Mafia coming home.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, vibes guy already.
Well,
Look at him.
generational vibes there. But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, we just keep stealing from the Rams, like David Edwards, Taylor Rapp. Now we take Michael Hoyt. I mean Von Miller, I guess.
Did you see that rumor explode this past weekend about Kyer Elam going to the Panthers?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll see about that.
That was just bad reporting on that Mookie guy. You just ripped that out there, and
then he
he's
backtracked. Like they were talking.
in a separate tweet. So he didn't even he just deleted the other. I was like, dude, you just every reporter like reposted you.
Yeah,
but
that was
whatever,
brutal.
Whatever,
And
brutal
then-
moment.
and-
Brutal moment.
And then they got Josh Palmer from the Chargers, 3 for 36. Again, so Hoyt was 3 for 24, but then it's really 3 for 21.
How do you feel about Palmer? I have to ask because Vibes guy, you said Barefoot Boy Mac Hollins is now a New England Patriot.
So I think this is a really big misconception is that Josh Palmer is significantly better than Mac Hollins.
Very much so.
Significantly is maybe a little harsh. But, like,
I don't know if it is. Mac Hollins, he did have a good season last year.
Mac Hollins is like a wide receiver 5.
Yeah. Mac Hollins is a 3-4, probably, floating around in there.
If on a good team, he's a 5.
Yeah.
This,
but like
this year was weird because of all the injuries to that receivers. Plus, they traded away Diggs and
yeah. I'm just
all
saying
that.
this current Bills squad, the way it's built right now. Amari Cooper's technically not on, like he's not coming back, right?
Well,
don't
this
know.
year, I mean, going in next year, he'd be 5. Would he not? I mean, it's Shakir, Coleman.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Samuel.
saying. Samuel.
I guess you would say
He's 4.
With Palmer signing, that didn't really. Again, I don't think those guys overlapped. So I think it's a couple things. One, I think Mac Hollins deserved to get paid, and he maximized his. And
it's a business. He took the money.
Yeah,
good on him.
Good on him. And I think also the Bills are like, listen, we're bringing in Josh Palmer. Are we really going to pay our wide receiver $5 million a year?
Yeah, no.
I know. And I think it's also, listen, him and Keon kind of played similar, where it's like really good run blocker, could block in line, kind of similar stuff. Like, I think
both
they're
bigger guys too.
And then they're going to put that responsibility on Keon, which is good.
Do you see Cooper coming back?
No.
Now with this, it's done. Yeah.
Immediately when they signed Josh Palmer, over. No, because Josh Palmer's a guy. Do I think they overpaid? I guess. I think sticker value, again, it looks like it's $12 million a year. Is it really $12 million a year? Is that just agent talk? And look at the market. Like, De'Ami Brown got 10. Tutu Atwell got 10. Like,
yeah,
they kind of paid within the market value. I think this is a guy that, listen, first off, he's comfortable catching the fastball.
Yeah, he was
literally Justin Herbert's, guy, and he was stuck behind Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I think
Herbert's got a cannon like Allen, similar to.
He's the best separator on the team now. I think he was 10th in the separation metric. I think the next closest they said was like Cooper at 61.
Yeah.
So again, like, this is a guy that could separate. He could win downfield, something that the Bills are lacking. And we said they need to get a separator to beat man coverage and to get open downfield.
Yeah.
He also blocks well, so that again.
Well, when Mac Hollins was your deep threat at the end of the season,
not great. Everybody eats.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that I don't think is going to infringe upon Keon Coleman. I think it is a role that they need to fill. And now it's like, again, as we were recording Lily Sabre segment, Ty Johnson signs back 2 years, $5 million. It's like, all right, like, they're back. Like, I don't think they need to add anything else on the offense.
Do you think they draft a wide receiver or something along those lines, or do they go defense hard in the draft?
So I think D3 maybe. I think this eliminates them picking 130th.
Yeah, I think they trade that pick away. For
who?
I don't know for who. I can't name a name, but like,
I mean, they might trade back.
What if Khalil Mack? Like, what if they just trade into the second?
Khalil Mack signed back with the Chargers.
I didn't know that. Never mind then. Buffalo guys.
I mean, Leonard Floyd. Listen, Leonard Floyd got caught. Kind of would be okay.
Knows the system.
Kind of would be okay with him bringing him back, because I think that would be like a starting caliber guy. And then all of a sudden you have Rousseau and Floyd, and then you kind of push, AJ back down to edge 3, which I think he's more. He's just better at. He doesn't have to be on all those early downs, and he could be used more as a pass rusher. And I think that would improve his stats.
Yeah,
make him more efficient.
And Floyd did a lot of good work for the Bills.
Had 12 sacks. And then Hoyt again would kind of be edge 4, but kind of like the Swiss Army knife. So I would like Leonard Floyd to come back. I'd like for them to get an interior defense lineman. They seem to be all kind of gone, which kind of sucks. And then again, I would like to see them get a corner. And again, I would like those 3. I'd like them to add 3 players in those positions, so then they go into the draft and it is, hey, we can pick the best player
BPA
available. Right now,
it's not we need a cornerback at pick 30 or whatever.
Right now, I just don't feel that way.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, first, I feel like it's like, all right, like, kind of feel like they need a corner. Like, they don't sign anyone. Like, I think that's their biggest need. Sorry. Like, I know. No,
agreed, because Rasul walked.
But it's like, they weren't, obviously, DJ Jones signed back for free agency. Like, I don't know. I feel like for the Bills, I think corner, this is a solid corner class that I think a lot of people have a lot of corners kind of in the late round 1, day 2 grade. So I think they could get a guy like a Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, or I think Jahdae Barron from Texas kind of ran too fast in the 40 to get selected. But I don't know. I think for the Bills, it's a situation where how do they fill the hole? And Bean does a great job of this, I feel like, every offseason. How are they going to fill the holes? They don't have a lot of holes, but how do they fill kind of like the depths of the cornerback, the interior D-line, maybe another edge, so that they could go whoever is number one on the board?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that is a receiver. I don't think so. Like, I think they're kind of going to go all defense. I will say this, though. I had this thought. First off, I hope they re-sign Richie Gilliam. He's currently UFA. But
also, Juszczyk's available as well, if they don't.
He's probably going to be too expensive. But they cut Sam Martin.
They did.
Right, for Jake Carmada, to now potentially, which I don't love because it's like, dude, Tyler Bass finally got like some confidence and we're going to take his holder away.
Yeah, right.
And I don't think Sam Martin's actually a solid partner last year. I know he was going to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're cheaping on that. I think it's hard to forget that they got a new special teams coordinator. So it's kind of interesting how the back half of the roster will change for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe there's a different system that they want to run, and maybe they, Matt Smiley liked stuff a certain way, like, hey, we want these type of guys playing special teams.
Yeah.
And maybe that's different now, which I think is interesting of Chris DeBoer. So,
well, I'm excited. I'm hoping it's different.
Well, that's what I'm saying with Quinn Morris not being signed back, who was tight end 3 and had a lot of special team snaps. Like, maybe they're looking for a different player to fit that role.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the special team, the new special teams, Chris DeBoer, like, maybe that's different. And maybe that's I assume somewhat that's why Sam Martin's not here anymore. It's because they thought that, hey, we could save a couple bucks.
Get a younger guy.
Develop
cheaper
him with
guy.
A
new coordinator. All that stuff.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think it's just I want to be where you want to be, and that's best player available. Whether that be trading into the second round because you don't need to take. You're right. You can maybe get a third round pick or whatever. Kind of what they did last season, but last season I kind of wish whatever. Not Xavier Worthy because of all that going on now.
Well,
but
they have. It's interesting though. They have. Obviously, they don't have a third round pick, but they have 3 picks in the top 62, like because they have 56 and 62.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they're going to be able to take some swings. So that's why I'm not concerned. Again, I would just like to get a couple of solid players. Don't have to even be starting caliber players in those positions, interior D-line, edge, and corner, just so that in the draft, I still think they're going to target those positions, but it's not like we have to take one.
Right. It's not do or die.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, part of me thinks that I still think corner might be a good bet because I just think DT, there's a lot of interior defense linemen in this draft class that I think they could wait until the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Edge, maybe not so much, but maybe that, again, we'll see. So I would make a pretty significant bet right now that the Bills go defense in their first 3 picks, which I'm all for, but I think this signing of Josh Palmer, because they legitimately now got a guy that can separate downfield and play the X, big, can block.
Yeah.
Now that is not longer a need, and it's like, what need or what depth do they really need?
Mm-hmm.
Especially now that they brought Ty Johnson back. I guess if they trade James Cook, like maybe that opens up running back day 2. But
Good. Yeah, I mean, I think they do take a running back late at some point.
Do you? I don't know.
It's a deep class. Why not? You do have Frank Gore Jr. on the you did on the practice squad. I don't think.
I don't think they will because how? I guess my perspective would be that would only make sense if they have traded James Cook.
I think it might be in their mind anyway. They might move on from him. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that, but where would that rookie play?
Right. You would just kind of ride the bench.
Like, are you gonna waste a day? I guess you wouldn't. I don't want to say wasting a pick because that sounds harsh, but you just signed Ty Johnson back.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And you have Ray Davis.
You have Ray Davis. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
running back 4 usually doesn't make the roster.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be sitting on the practice squad, but
And then he could get claimed. So at that point,
yeah,
I guess how high I
get it.
I would if you in that scenario. Well, that would have to be we trade James Cook for like a 3rd round pick and use that pick in our running back and just reset the cycle.
Yeah. I don't think that's out of the cards up until the draft.
I'm not
though.
saying it isn't. I'm just saying I would be shocked if they drafted a running back if James Cook's still on the roster.
If he's actively on the roster still, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
like,
get it. Why would you do that? Because then you're just it. Like you said, harsh, but it's a waste of a pick.
like my thought process for the Bills draft is on offense, I guess, would be like, yeah, let's draft like maybe a tight end on day 3 to compete for the tight end 3. Let's draft a quarterback on day 3 to compete for the backup role.
Yeah.
offensive line, like, I guess, but like, I guess if they had some guy that they think they could develop, because I guess that perspective would be, David Edwards is a free agent after next season.
Yeah.
Maybe they say like Alec Anderson will step in, and then we need another guy, or Tyler Grable, and then we need another, a backup. So I guess those would be like the picks on offense. But again, those are all day 3 picks. Like with how the Bills have had so far with getting players and who they already have, like it just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to pick anyone in the first 2 days on offense.
Yeah.
Unless you're just enamored by someone, but like,
right, if someone's there,
who really is that?
This offensive class isn't crazy.
That's why I'm like, it's not, again, it's not the greatest draft class overall, but it's like,
I do think you draft a interior defensive lineman at some point.
oh, they have to,
Because Daquan Jones, if you don't get the replacement for him, you need to start training the replacement. Do you know what I'm saying?
they'd be
stupid not to.
malpractice to not draft interior defensive lineman and not draft at least 2 or 3 defensive linemen.
That could be their first pick. If they stay at 30,
sure.
that 100% could be their first pick.
Sure.
And at cornerback, like you said, I mean, those two, I would say, are probably, right now, that's where you got to go. Your linebackers are fine. Your safeties are whatever. I mean, Cole Bishop, you
safeties
hope.
or whatever. There's not really a post safety, which they need. So
Yeah.
I think
the mock drafts are going to get interesting.
the
That's all
mock
I'm gonna
drafts will be
say.
interesting. I think I'm happy that Brandon Beane's our GM, because I know next week we should have some content with the free agent class, because I know for a fact he's not done. Like,
No.
he usually, the first wave comes out. You can see that Josh Palmer is a big priority, right? Michael Hoyt was a big priority, because when Bean signs those guys, it's like, all right, those dudes were priorities.
Yeah.
Like, because he was willing on day one to spend the cash.
He went right there. Yeah.
He went right there. Right? Now it feels like, all right, there's some guys that you circle back on. Because it's now like, all right, they struck out. Like, they thought maybe they were going to go to Team A, but Team A got this player, and now Team B and they don't have a dance partner. That's where you get kind of the 1 year proof. I wonder if that's what happened with Rasul Douglas and Amari Cooper. I'm not saying they're going to bring him back. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they haven't been signed either. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins literally just got signed by the Ravens, but
Did he?
yeah,
Right now?
as we were recording, yeah.
Oh, my God. By the Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, he's washed. Sorry, I don't mean he's fine.
He's a
When
solid
I say wash is a mean word. He's probably going to get like 700 yards.
He's not prime DeAndre
Yeah.
Hopkins, and I agree with that. But the NFL's moving. The train's chugging along, and not the wide receiver train in a lot of people's minds. Still people on that, which is a little crazy to me. But it's defense right now.
How could it not be? Like
This isn't last season where you got rid of Diggs, Dave, like you cleaned out the offense. Like most of your core, and you already got Josh Palmer, who to me, I think is.
I'm not overrating Josh Palmer. He's fine.
Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to, but it's almost reminiscent to me of
He feels the need.
The John Brown of the team, in a way. That downfield guy.
Yeah, he's not speed.
No.
But I understand what you're saying. He wins downfield.
Wins downfield. And they didn't have that last season. So, and the kind of alike to when they brought in John Brown. But I don't know. It's just.
Had a lot of man coverage. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I think it's a situation where it's like we all wanted them to use a lot of most of the assets in defense. They had like 2 decisions. They needed to find a receiver that could get open against man coverage on the field. They got him in Josh Palmer.
Yep.
And like, was Ty Johnson coming back? Because if not, then we need to get another running back.
And
He came back.
Yep.
Like Matt Collins is kind of whatever. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I think it puts it on the table that they could draft a receiver on day 3 to be the wide receiver 5. But like again, if they draft a receiver 30th, it's like, where is he producing? You know, like you already have. I guess unless they move on from Curtis Samuel, like where
I
else
don't think they
produce?
do.
So,
I think because Curtis Samuel's healthy now. So, well, hopefully. Knock on wood for that. But I think, does that wrap it up
Yes,
for this
sir.
edition? I think that does it. We're going to, like we said, we don't think Brandon Beane's done. I don't think the NFL's done. You're going to have
they
a lot
did
of
sign
moves.
Darrington Evans, but that's kind of like a.
Yeah, it's whatever.
He's been on the team. He's probably a practice squad RB4.
Yeah.
So like, I saw that alert. I was like, is this really worth like the massive alert? This is
Yeah,
getting?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, you keep,
I'm not trying to be mean to him, but like,
no,
what the
but
heck?
you keep the guy around who knows the system and everything like that. Like, absolutely. But the NFL is now going to be moving in full force, and we go on to the draft. So maybe next week we'll do a mock draft or something like that. We'll figure something out. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Buffalonian podcast. I'm Joe Cali. As always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, how do we always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.